Good afternoon here in Butler in matinee baseball. Unfortunately, it's a soggy Sunday as the Blue Sox will look to complete a two-game sweep against the West Virginia Miners. I'm Jaron Steele, joined by Kellen Gursky. Unfortunately, we have to broadcast from inside today because it's raining and our equipment is expensive, and we don't want it to get ruined. So, well, good night last night, 6-2 win. Blue Sox got 4 runs in the first and kind of rolled from there behind Josh LaPiana, who pitched 7 solid innings.
Yeah, LaPiana was very, very good last night, as you mentioned. And as you said, Butler looking to complete a 2-game sweep at home of West Virginia, looking to win, their 4th in a row. So big game for Butler here. And if you're West Virginia, you got to try to stop the slide that they've been on, obviously. And hopefully today, with Klingensmith on the mound, Butler can do that.
Yeah, Michael Klingensmith will make his first start, second appearance of the summer, and he'll do so against the lineup from West Virginia that follows. Leading off is number 2, the designated hitter, Colby Johnson. And Eddie Gonzalez will bat second. He wears number 21, followed by the number 7, Austin Norman. Nick Delgado will be the cleanup man, wearing number 15. Number 12, Cody Calloway will bat in the 5 spot. Number 24, Kyle Bergeron will bat 6th. In the 7 hole is the man who hit a home run last night, number 28, Matt DeLeo. 8 spot is number 3, Brent Toddies. And the 9 hitter is number 10, Cole Fowler. And the pitching will be Andrew Try for the Miners. We'll talk about him in the bottom half. But we're about ready for some baseball here. As the first pitch from Klingensmith is swung on and missed for a strike. Umpires today, Matthew Malik behind home plate. Jack Peck is working the bases. Defensively for the Blue Sox, we got Eric Bolton behind the home plate. Patrick Ferguson at first. Foul tip here. Makes it 0-2. Then Tyler Benson at second. Tom McCarthy at third. Corey Wheeler at shortstop. Tanner Murphy in left. Stefan Mercanja in center. And Joe Gunn in right. And the 0-2. Popped out over top of our heads, out of play.
So far, Klingensmith throwing a lot of strikes. Has thrown 3 in a row here and has Colby Johnson 0-2, and that's what you want to do to start the ball game off.
And he gets him swinging on a high fastball for the first strike out of the game. That's a good way to start it. Klingensmith is from IUP, is a native of Punxsutawney, which is known mostly for its groundhog. But it also is a very good baseball community. I mean, Devin Mesrocco, who plays for the Reds, come out of there. They regularly are play competitors in the state tournament. And also a couple other guys that have come out of there have gone on to Division I schools. So it's a good baseball community, as well as a place where people gather to see if a groundhog sees its shadow or not. Ground ball to second. Benson to Ferguson, 2 down.
And a good start here by Klingensmith. 2 quick outs, one by Kay, one by the ground ball you just saw there. And looks like Klingensmith's trying to duplicate what LaPiana did last night for the Sox.
Yeah, 2 up, 2 down. Here's the left-handed hitting Austin Norman. Looking to get on track. He was a very good player for the Miners last year. First pitch misses high. But so far this year, it's an early going, but he's not really hit as well as he would like, especially for a guy who hits in the middle of the order. It's now 2-0. Well, actually, I take that back. He's hitting .556 in 2 games. He must have been hitting 1,000 coming into last night because he did not have a very good night. Pitch outside. But just didn't seem like himself yesterday evening. But he's ahead 3-0 here. And now watch the fastball come across for a strike. Blue Sox in their throwbacks again today. Warm opening day as well.
Yeah, the throwback Yankee uniforms.
Our producer, Allison, loves those uniforms. Favorite uniforms. She does not like them at all. Ball 4. Norman heads down to first on a walk. 2 out walk. That's not the worst thing, I guess.
No, not that bad. As long as you can get the next guy or the next guy after that out. If you're Mike Klingensmith. You don't want to put anyone on for free, but it always will hurt you if you put someone on for free and then they come back and score.
Delgado, ready to go. Takes a called strikey. Sports a pink bat. He had one last summer, too. Remember him from last summer?
I believe so, yeah. I don't remember the pink bat, though. I don't know why. I feel like that would be the thing I would most remember.
The 0-1, right there again, called strike.
Seems like Klingensmith throwing a lot of fastballs to start the game off. Really, I don't know if we've seen much, if any, of an off-speed pitch. But if they're having trouble hitting the fastball, might as well keep throwing it.
Yeah, this would be a good time for a curveball. You got the 0-2 count. There he is. Missed up and in. Really didn't break too much either. Runner leads a little bit off of first. And here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Klingensmith. No runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left. Bottom half coming up here. And we'll give you the Blue Sox batting order for this evening. Leading off will be number 10, Tanner Murphy, the left fielder. Tom McCarthy will bat second. He wears number 21, followed by number 2, Tyler Benson. Joe Gunn will be the cleanup man, wears number 23, followed by number 24, the DH. Christian Webb, number 41, Patrick Ferguson, who's hit 3 home runs already in the young season, will bat in the 6th spot. The 7th hitter will be number 9, Eric Bolton. Corey Wheeler will bat 8th and wear number 1. And number 3, Stefan Mercanja, will bat 9th and play center. So they'll face Andrew Try, who is actually a high school senior this year, and he ended up getting with a new role in the last couple of years. Allows high school players to 2 high school players per team that are going to college. We usually see them go to high Division I's, and that's the case with Mr. Try. He's going to Mississippi State next spring. And he's pitched in 1 game this year, two clean innings, no walks, no strikeouts, no hits, nothing going. He actually picked up the win in their only win so far this year in Game 2 up in Kokomo.
It's got to be interesting for a guy that, obviously you're allowed to play if you're a high school senior, as you mentioned, but it's got to be interesting. You're probably definitely the youngest guy out there playing guys that have been there and done it in college baseball, and got to be interesting, kind of what's going through the mind of Andrew Try going out there against guys that are going to be seniors in college and things like that. But we'll see how the youngster, obviously young compared to everyone else on both of the teams are anyway.
This would be a good test for him, the way the Blue Sox have hit the ball this early part of the summer, scoring at least 5 runs in every game. And pitch. He's in there for a strike. Defensively for the Miners, we got Fowler behind home plate, DeLeo at first, Bergeron at second, Toddy's at third, Callaway, ball fouled off here. Callaway's at short, Gonzalez in left, Delgado in center, and Norman in right. Murphy hitting the 7th spot last night, had an RBI triple. Moving up today, Ben Krug getting a day off. Moves to the top of the order and takes a ball here.
Looks like Andrew trying to work quick. He's right on that mound as soon as and here we go again, ready to go.
Yeah, misses inside. Yeah, he's got a good pace to him. Good pace to last night's game, 2 hours and 3 minutes.
And there was, 6, 7 runs scored in that game. You don't really see that often.
Yeah, Lapiana with several 1, 2, 3 innings. Strikeout here for Murphy, low and away, but chases. And there's 1 out.
Yeah, good first out there for Andrew Try. I was wondering how his mind would be coming in, as we said, a high school senior pitching against much older players, but so far so good. He strikes the first batter out that he sees.
Tom McCarthy will hit a hard grounder past third base out into left field. That's going to be at least one.
It's definitely going to be two.
Yeah, he's going to get there easily with a one-out double. Hard hit ball past the diving third baseman out there, Toddy's, but he really didn't have a chance on that one.
No, really didn't have a chance at all. I mean, as soon as I was saying so far so good for Andrew Try, Tom McCarthy rips a double right down the left field line. And as you said, really nothing that Toadies could have did over there. He dove to his left, but just couldn't get there. Toddy's, excuse me. I knew I would screw that up.
It's all right. Yeah, it looked like McCarthy was right looking for first pitch fastball, got what he liked, and just turned on it. Now here's Benson, who checks second, and pitch comes inside. Benson able to slide out of the way. McCarthy bluffs a steal. Here comes the pitch. It's a bouncer. Fowler able to block it and hold McCarthy at second.
It's a great block back there by Fowler. Personally, I was a catcher at Westminster, and you got to keep runners where they're at, and then obviously that you don't want to see anyone move into third base on a pass ball or a wild pitch, just 90 feet away from scoring. Now it's going to take a base hit for McCarthy to score.
Now it's 3-0 on Benson. Has to keep wiping the bat off. As late rain falling, which means everybody's up in general admission watching the game right now. Not too many people out in the open. Called strike. Benson hitting .333 so far. There's a double and 2 RBI. Pitch inside, ball 4, and 2 men on and 1 out after the free pass to Benson.
Yeah, in a good spot here early on for the Blue Sox. 2 men on after the first man of the inning striking out in Tanner Murphy, but Joe Gunn's got an opportunity here to drive in a run.
Gunn was 1 for 3 in the opener, hasn't played since. Getting his second crack at it this year, takes pitch inside. Blue Sox as a team hitting .254, but they have 4 guys hitting over .330. And 2 guys hitting over .400.
It's a pretty good recipe for success there.
Both of those guys have the day off today, though.
Yeah.
Gulakowski and Gonzalez. Much deserved. Well deserved. I mean, they've played all week. Get them the Sunday, get the extra day off on Monday, and then get back at on Tuesday. Check of second by Try. Here's the pitch. 2-0 count, now 3-0. Try having a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, he's walked his last guy, and Tyler Benson, and now 3-0 to Joe Gunn. You don't want to load the bases up and walk 2 of the 3 guys to reach base. That's a big no-no.
3-0 is a called strike, but it almost missed as well, just in on the inside half of the plate.
And we've seen Try go to that inside part of the plate a lot today. He's just missed. That one looked like a pretty good pitch, and we'll see if he tries to go back in on Gunn.
Gunn thought he had ball 4, but instead he has to go get his bat. That'll incite some fans. And umpires hate that. They hate that whenever a guy drops the bat. And we'll see. Full count. Runners at first and second. McCarthy takes off. Gunn hits it well, but that's going to hook foul. And if he straightens that out a little bit, that might have found its way out of here.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like Gunn might have broken his bat. Surprising there. I mean, he hit that ball pretty darn well. Must have muscled it out of there. I don't know how he broke his bat on that unless he got it off the end, but he hit that pretty well.
Well, he's got a new piece of lumber. Saunters back up to the box. McCarthy was off on that. And Benson all did not run, so we'll see what they do here. McCarthy's going, Benson's going, pitch outside, ball 4, doesn't matter. Now bases are loaded.
You almost wonder if McCarthy was kind of getting in the head of Andrew Try. Almost that whole at-bat, in the last at-bat, when Benson was up there, McCarthy was jumping around trying to get the attention of Andrew Try, and it looked like, I don't know if that's why, but ever since McCarthy got to second base, Try has kind of lost his I don't want to say his composure, but he's lost kind of his effectiveness.
Yeah, he misses inside here. To Christian Webb, who's played in 3 games, has an RBI, 3 walks, and it's 1 for 12 to start the year. And he's ahead 2-0 here. Try cannot find his own.
Yeah, just one. I mean, it's just so far in this inning, it's been one of those innings. Try. He's all around it and just hasn't thrown a strike here. He's walked 2 consecutive guys, and Benson and Gunn. So he does with Webb.
Ground ball, chance for 2, but the ball bounces between the legs of DeLeo. He recovers to get 1 out, but the Blue Sox do play to run on it. If he fields that ball cleanly, they might be able to come home and then go back to first and get a double play.
Yeah, I thought for a second, I was almost going to say, well, that'll change the inning for Andrew Try. Instead, he does get a much needed out there. A good job over there at first base by DeLeo to knock that down, not let it get into the outfield. 1 run here isn't all that bad if you're Andrew Try, but a big task at hand here with Ferguson
look
coming
who's
up.
in the box. Ferguson, he rips at 1 but fouls it off. Yeah, it could have been a lot worse, but DeLeo gets his glove down quickly there, fields that. They get a double play, and they don't even get a run out of this inning. But instead, they do get the out, though. He was able to recover and at least get 1 out and try to limit the damage. But Ferguson going to try to put a crooked number up there right now. If he's able to get a base hit here, he comes up empty on that swing.
Ferguson doesn't get cheated when he's up there, does he? I mean, he takes full hacks. He's trying to hit the ball as hard as he can every time he's up there.
Yeah, well, he's got 3 home runs. He's hitting .238, but he also struck out 10 times.
Yeah.
In 21 at bats. That's a nice block again by Fowler. And here's the 1-2. Curveball down low. Pretty good pitch, but no fooling there for Ferguson.
Yeah, good pitch by trying, as you said, to get Ferguson to chase. A good job on both ends there. Good pitch. Ferguson just didn't chase it.
Now he pops one up foul. Good battle here. 2-2 count, 2 outs, 2 runners on. Blue Sox ahead 1-0. And here's a 2-2 again. Curveball low. Nice job laying off. That was a pitch in the early part of the season that Ferguson was not laying off. And now that he's laying off that, he's going to get even better pitches to try to smash over the fence. And instead he takes a pitch low for ball 4, and now the bases are loaded once again.
Yeah, good at-bat there by Patrick Ferguson. After he got down 0-2, I believe, he works a walk and sets up another chance here for the Blue Sox with 2 outs.
Eric Bolton, 4 for 10 on the season. Or, I'm sorry, 1 for 10 on the season. 4 runs scored, though. He's walked 5 times. And so his on-base percentage isn't too bad. But we're looking for a big hit here. He takes a strike. Bolton getting his first start behind the plate today. He's been out in right field. He's DH'd as well. But with 4 catchers, you got to rotate him around. 0-1, outside. He's got a blue, is that a?
I think it's a towel
Yeah,
in his back pocket.
Looks like one of those ShamWows hanging out the back of his pocket there. Ferguson uses, or I'm sorry, not Ferguson. Benson, he puts the extra pair of gloves in his pockets.
Yeah.
I guess Bolton likes the ShamWow.
Whatever works, I suppose, right?
1-2 upstairs. Well, this is pretty big at bat in this early going. You get a base hit here, it's at least 3-0. And now this is the biggest pitch of the game to this point. 3-2, nowhere to put him.
The runners will be going with the pitch as well, so a gap shot here by Bolton could score all three.
Yeah. Here it is. Fastball. Called a strike 3 on the outside corner. Bolton didn't like the call, but that's a huge pitch from Try to get out of the inning. 7 men come to the plate for the Blue Sox, but 1 comes home to score. And we'll go to the second with Butler ahead 1-0. All right, top of the second here. 5-6-7 due up for West Virginia. Blue Sox leading 1-0 on a RBI ground out by Christian Webb, but they do leave the bases loaded. Hard hit ball, but foul down the first baseline. Kicks off the dugout and heads back out into the field of play.
Yeah, that ball was hit super hard, as you said. Bounces off the dugout of the Blue Sox at first base and squirts all the way out into right field.
Now he takes a big cut, comes up empty.
And Klingensmith again doing a good job of getting ahead of the West Virginia Miners hitters thus far in this ball game.
Yeah, other than the walk, he's been, oh boy, that was a sailor to the backstop, but I guess when it's 0-2, you can let that slide, nobody on. Callaway swings and misses for strike 3. Third K for Klingensmith.
Yeah, and Klingensmith has looked pretty dominant thus far. As you said, 3 Ks, and we're only not even 2 innings through, an inning and a third through this game thus far.
And there's Bergeron, the second baseman. Takes a pitch high. So far this year, Bergeron hitting 158. 3 for 19. Does have a double and 2 RBI. Strike called. After a huge crowd last night, unfortunately the weather has scared some people away today. Ball popped up into right field. Gunn looks like he's got a beat on it. He makes the catch for the second out.
And a good job again by Klingensmith, really this time letting the defense do it. He struck out the last 2 men he faced before Bergeron, but this game's moving right along for Klingensmith, and he's throwing a ton of strikes, and it's got to be what you're hoping for if you're the Blue Sox.
Here's DeLeo. He hit a solo homer last night. Didn't get him any favors. He didn't move up in the order. He's still hitting 7th. But that was actually his first hit of the season. He's hitting 167. He struck out in 4 of his 6 at-bats. Takes a pitch for a ball, 1-1. DeLeo goes to Oakland University. He can't lay off the high fastball. One of just a few of the minors who actually go to Division I schools. They like their Division II and NAIA guys. Well, it's 2-2, which has paid dividends for them in the past. They've won 3 championships. Check swing. Appeal. They say no swing. And it's now 3-2. Our bases umpire let us down there.
Yeah, it sure looked like Eric Bolton back there behind the plate. He thought that he went around, did DeLeo, but to no avail.
Payoff pitch, swing and a miss. Doesn't matter. He struck him out anyway. 4 Ks through 2 innings for Klingensmith, and the Miners go down in order. On to the bottom half of the second. Butler 1, West Virginia nothing. Eight, 9, and 1 due up for the Blue Sox here in the bottom of the second. They lead 1-0 on a rainy Sunday after a beautiful stretch of weather that we've had for the first 3 games. Pitch misses for a ball to Wheeler, local boy. Went to Butler High School. Can't lay off that one. Yeah, he got him with looked like a slider, some sort of breaking pitch. One, 2. Called, strike 3. Third K for Try. He made it interesting last inning with the amount of guys he let on base, but he only gave up 1 run out of it.
Yeah, it was a kind of a big inning for Andrew Try. I mean, he labored out there for the better half of that bottom of the first inning and still only gave up 1 run, and that's probably why he's back out there.
Now, Mercanja, who threw out a potential scorer last night on a great throw from right field. Norman stumbled on his way home, which helped out the cause, but he still would have, I think, if he was running full speed, he still would have got him because he was like 3 steps from the base from home plate whenever the ball came in to Gulikowski. And then they went around in circles for a little bit before he tagged him out. Pitch misses high. 2-2 to Mercanja. Try, not messing around, comes right back in, just misses with a curveball.
And this is a big inning for Try after he threw so many pitches in the first be big here to see if he can, get through this inning quick.
He misses low ball 4. I said he had 3 strikeouts. Now he add 3 walks to his line to this point.
4 walks, actually. That's his 4th.
Yeah, you're right. It's 4. He had 3 in the first inning.
And they say walks will hurt you.
Yeah, they just drive up the pitch count.
Yeah, that's true as well.
And he didn't get burned by his walks in the first inning.
No.
Back to the top of the order in Murphy. He'll chop at the short. Chance for 2. Callaway on the second for 1 on the what in the world happened there? He threw it away. He threw it away, and instead of a double play, the Blue Sox have runners on second and third. E6. The same thing happened last night. The Miners' defense fails try here. Now we're going to have an umpire argument. It actually looked like. I think the reason he's going to argue is because Mercanje slid in there really hard.
No, I think it was.
No, he's just mad at his players.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to yell at the umpire. Instead, he's going to go out and yell at his players, and maybe rightfully so, because even though that slide was hard, that throw was well off the base. So just a routine play gone awry.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. And Andrew Try doing everything he can out there on the mound after a tough first inning. Should have been out of that inning right there with that pitch. Should have been a 1-2-3 inning. And instead, Try is out there and now has runners at second and third. And an opportunity here for Tom McCarthy, who hit a double in the first inning, to come up and get some RBIs to his credit.
Well, that's the first error tonight by the Miners. Epling, he's used to winning. I mean, he's not used to starting a season 1-4. They're usually at the top of the standings. Right now, they're sitting in the cellar. And I'm sure after 6 errors last night and then watching that routine play just be destroyed, he's probably getting pretty much tired of watching them shoot themselves in the foot, making mistakes like that. And he wanted to let them know it. McCarthy with a hard chopper to third. They got Mercanje caught between third and home. He'll tag him out, and that's the second out of the inning. Goodness, how about that? Right after the pep talk, the third baseman Toddy's comes up with a heady play to hold on to the ball and then go tag Mercanje, who was caught off the base.
Yeah, and that's a tough play for Mercanje, too. I mean, that ball right at third base. You have to make a decision right away. Do I go or do I stay? And he kind of got caught in the middle there, and a good job by Toddy's to just, not throw it away and make the smart play and tag him out.
Well, runners on the corner still here with 2 outs for Benson. Takes the ball. Murphy now at third, and McCarthy on the fielder's choice will head to first. How about that? McCarthy's over there jumping around like crazy again. With him, I almost think I wouldn't be surprised here to see a double steal. Murphy's got good speed, and then you get McCarthy running. Benson swings and misses here. And then, get the catcher to throw to second, and then Murphy come running home.
Yep.
Wouldn't be surprised to see it. But so far they haven't showed any signs of it other than McCarthy wreaking havoc over there. There he's going to go, and it's going to. They were thinking about it because I was looking at Murphy, and he thought about coming home, but the catcher dropped the ball, so that ended up just being a stolen base. So he didn't even get a chance to throw down to second, because if he did, Murphy I think was coming home. He was reading what the catcher was going to do there. Benson hard liner into the netting. Just got to sit back on that a little bit longer.
I think, again, that was another off-speed pitch. I think Try is mixing in his off-speed pitches a lot more in this inning than he did in the first. Guys were sitting fastball a lot of the time for the Blue Sox. I think Try has realized that, and he's starting to mix in his other pitches as well.
And the 2-2, Benson pops it up. That should be playable out in right field for Norman, and he's under it, got it for the third out. So the Blue Sox strand a pair, and we'll go to the third, but they're on top 1-0. Ready to go here in the top of the third. 8-9-1 due up Toddies, fouls it off, whereas Kellen likes to say Toadies.
Yeah, I screwed. I said that was going to happen, but
You did, too. You predicted
I did.
your demise there, but hey, that's all right. Maybe it is Toadies. Who knows?
Who knows, yeah.
But the minors radio guy said Toddies, so.
Oh, it's probably Todd.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. He's down 0-2. Klingensmith has been solid on the mound. He gets a foul ball here. 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings. Has only allowed 1 base runner. That was on a walk. Got a few fans braving the rain, sitting out in the field level section. And ball popped up here. Benson has it in shallow right center for the first out.
And again, Klingensmith, he's getting a lot of weak contact. Hasn't been a lot of balls squared up by any means. There's only been 3 balls put in play against him thus far. A ground ball to second, the pop up there to second, then a fly out to gun out in right field. But all of that, it's been pretty weak, and that's just a product of him getting ahead of hitters and forcing weak contact.
Fowler, the 9 hitter, will take a ball. He's hitting .063 to start the year. Unfortunately for the minor, actually, Norman's 556 batting average has really picked up the whole average because they got 5 guys hitting under 200 right now, under the old Mendoza line. 3-0 delivery is in there for a called strike. First time, I think. Well, actually, I think when Norman walked, he fell behind him. But other than that, he's been ahead of everybody all day. But he will surrender a 1-out walk here.
Yeah, the 2 walks have been the only men to reach base so far against Klingensmith, and a ground ball here could take him right out and continue the darn good day so far for Klingensmith.
Yeah, Johnson struck out in his first at-bat. And he misses, or watches a pitch miss high. Johnson so far, 235 hitter to this point. He is from the University of Charleston down in West Virginia. Now, pitch misses, and Bolton's going to go out and have a quick word with Klingensmith. Try to settle him down a little bit because, you know, he's been cruising right along. Now he's hitting a little bit of a speed bump or a pothole, whatever we want to call it, and hopefully trying to get himself righted here.
You just got to get back to throwing strikes, which is what made him so effective in the first 2 innings. Obviously getting the first out of the inning, but then the walk here and falling behind 2-0. Got to throw a strike here.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yep. You called that right there.
Suppose so.
Looks like the sky's clearing a little bit.
Maybe
sun,
a little bit, yeah.
The sun's trying. He's trying to make an appearance, but he's got a lot to fight through up there. A lot of clouds here. 2-1. Misses. And I think it's raining again because the person in front of us just put their umbrella back up. 3-1, runner on first. Blue Sox ahead 1-0. Just 1 hit on the board, and that belongs to the Blue Sox. Klingensmith steps off, and that wasn't his A move. He just flips one over to make sure Fowler was paying attention. And now foul ball, off Bolton. That hurts. It doesn't seem to bother him, though.
I didn't see where it got Bolton. I thought maybe I got a piece of his glove first, and then I couldn't see it after that. But, yeah, it's never fun when a foul ball gets you if you're a catcher.
Yeah, you would know.
Yeah. I've had that happen to me a couple times.
You guys are crazy back there. More bravery than I do. Oh, I'm left-handed, so I wouldn't be able to catch anyways. Ball popped up.
They got a chance here for a
Yeah.
double play, possibly.
Fowler didn't well, it was up there way too long, but you're right. Fowler didn't read that very well. Gunn makes the catch out in right field for the second out. But, yeah, if that ball was hit on more of a line, they would have had a double play.
I didn't think he was hit that high. I thought off the bat they'd have a chance, but and Gunn, normally when a right fielders normally have the best arms in the outfield, so I thought for a second they'd have a chance, but that ball didn't come down for a while, and although I'm sure Klingensmith will take the out.
Yeah, here you almost need a good arm wherever you play with it. How deep the outfield is here. Called strike to Gonzalez. Grounded out to second base in his first at-bat. Here's the 0-1. That's a pretty good hit out in the gap and left center, but Murphy cuts it off and holds Fowler at second. Good job out there by Tanner Murphy getting to that ball quickly and getting it in. First hit of the game for the Miners, but got to give credit to Murphy because that could have been a situation where a guy makes it to third if he doesn't get into the gap and cut that ball off.
Yeah, you hit it on the head there. You don't want to see a two-out rally here by West Virginia, and obviously holding Fowler to second base can hopefully prevent that. That might prove to be a big play here in this third inning.
Where'd that come from? There was a bat out in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I have no idea where that came from. Maybe Delgado was swinging in the on-deck circle and let it go. He threw it. Okay, yeah.
Oh, so the guy. I was looking down at my screen. I look up. There's a bat being handed over by McCarthy. So you got to get some stickum on that bat there, Mr. Delgado, because he threw in the on-deck circle. He throws it out in the field of play. That's good stuff.
Thank goodness that didn't happen when.
I mean, it is raining. It's a little bit wet, but my goodness. Come on now. Norman grounds to second. This should get him out of it. Now they go the short way to second for the third out. And Blue Sox strand 2 here. We'll go on to the bottom of the third with Butler ahead 1-0.
It's time for each and every one of us to face a very troubling fact. There exists a significant heroin and opioid epidemic in not only Butler County, but elsewhere across the country. I'm Rich Goldinger, the District Attorney of Butler County. This is my backyard and yours too. Together, we can work to eradicate the high-level drug dealers that supply these drugs to those using them. Heroin and opioid abuse does not discriminate. Users come from all economic backgrounds, are male and female, and may be teenagers or middle-aged adults. With your help and in conjunction with the Butler County Drug Task Force and the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General, we can target those dealers who bring this poison into our county. Please report any suspicious activity to your local law enforcement agency, the Pennsylvania State Police, or to my office. This is our ballpark. This is our county. This is our backyard. Let's all say, not in my backyard. Please enjoy tonight's Blue Sox game.
Bottom of the third here in Butler. Blue Sox ahead 1-0. We've had a little bit of everything so far here today. He had a bat in the last inning fly out into the field of play because the guy in the on-deck circle lost it. Usually you'll see, maybe 3 or 4 times a season, the guy at the plate will lose his
Yeah.
bat. But the first time I've seen a guy in the on-deck circle
Yeah.
chuck it.
Never seen that before in my life.
Joe Gunn is at the plate. He takes a ball from Andrew Try. Gunn walked his first time up. Butler had 1-0. We have both teams with 1 hit so far. Miners with 1 error. But it didn't hurt him last inning. Now the rain's picking up again. Try had to go to the rosin bag. And here's the 2-0. In there for a strike.
Yeah, the rain's really picking up now. Looking at the bleachers, and you can see it splattering off the bleachers.
Yeah. I don't think the heavy stuff's coming down for a while, though. So I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, it looks like the umpire's going to get the players off the
I
field here.
I take that back. We're going to go into a rain delay here. Well, hopefully this isn't a long one. But I guess we'll step aside here. Nobody out here in the bottom of the third, and the weather has opened up. So Blue Sox ahead 1-0. It's rain delay time here, and Butler will be stand by. We'll be back whenever the game resumes. Well, we had about a 8-minute rain delay here, which is the best kind of rain delay, and it looks like we're going to get back to going here pretty soon. We're in a 3-1 count with Joe Gunn here in the bottom of the third, with the Blue Sox leading 1-0. I should have told Pat during the rain delay to give West Virginia a hit. He still has a 0 on the board out there.
Scoreboard, yeah.
But they do have 1 hit, and so do the Blue Sox to this point. But Blue Sox have had a lot of base runners.
Yeah.
And haven't been able to cash in. They've left 5 men on base through the first 2 innings. And here we go. 3-1. Count to start the inning. Gunn walked the last time up, so looking to get on base here to start the inning.
Yeah, looking to get another hit, though. As you said, only 1 hit so far throughout, 2 hits throughout the game, 1 belonging to each team. It's going to be ball 4.
Yeah, that was a good way to start it. Pitch low, and Gunn heads to first. Easiest at bat of his life. He just stood there for a couple seconds, took a ball, walked to first. Now here's Christian Webb, who has the lone RBI, a 3 unassisted ground out that scored McCarthy. He'll take a called strike. Should have a few guys coming in next week to join the team. Delaware, who were in the regionals, were eliminated last night in a 12-inning loss to Arizona. So they go 0-2 in their regional, but played Texas Tech and Arizona tough. Unfortunately, come up on the wrong end both times. But their season's over, so Calvin Scott and James Meeker should be reporting here next week. 2-1 count with Webb.
Meager was here last year, right?
Yes,
James,
second half
so.
of the season.
Mm-hmm.
He'll pitch and play middle infield for the Blue Sox. Also, actually, could play third base. He could play second, third, or short. 3-1. Try has struggled with walks here today. He's already given up 5 free passes. Strike called a Webb here. But he's also been able to get some strikeouts to go along with it. He has 3 of those. Runner goes, ball fouled straight back.
The Blue Sox have actually done a pretty good job of putting good at-bats together on Andrew Try. After they've fallen down 0-2, they really haven't chased anything. They haven't helped him out at all. They've made him earn everything, and that's kind of been part of the reason that Try has walked so many guys. The Blue Sox have gotten to a lot of 3-2 counts.
Starting to rain again. I hope they don't go to another rain delay here. Ball popped up. Could be playable for Toddy's. He's coming back. He almost runs over his teammate out there, Callaway, but does make the catch in foul territory for the first out.
Yeah, nice play there over there by Toddy's, trying to work with the extension, I guess we'll call it, of the bleachers there, and got right to it, found the fence, and then realized the ball was going to come back towards the foul line, so he got back and made the play. That was nice.
Well, Patrick Ferguson with 1 down and Gunn on first. Ready to go. Drew a walk in the first inning. And hits the ball pretty well to center. Wrong part of the ballpark as it drifts over towards left center. And making the catch out there is Delgado for the second out. Got under that one a little bit, but actually, he's got under his home runs too. So
yeah, I suppose that's just how it goes, I guess. Yeah, you're right. He has got under his home runs. They've been all absolutely towering home runs. They haven't been line drive lasers by any means. They have been major league style home runs. Yeah, moonshots.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
As I called it the other night, majestic.
Yeah, that's right.
Pitch misses high to Bolton, his teammate at Ball State, Gunn out at first base. And I guess his home run in West Virginia was off their video scoreboard, so he put a dent in that thing. The throw down, Gunn is going to be out at second, trying to steal. Good throw by Fowler, gets him to end the inning. So through 3 and through the raindrops, the Blue Sox lead it 1-0. All right, so we're in the top of the 4th. Delgado checks his swing, fouls one off. Blue Sox ahead 1-0. Scored that run back in the first inning. In fact, the first inning has been good for the Blue Sox. They had 2 the other night against Champion City. Unfortunately, fell in that game. Boy, they got the monsoon back here. I would say it's rainy season in Butler, but that's 9 months out of the year. Then the other 3 months it snows. 1-1 count. Here's the pitch. It's a little bit high. Delgado got to wipe off the bat. He's the one that threw his he's the one that threw his bat out into the field for the on deck circle. It's a hefty swings, but I guess it's understandable in heavy rain. Pitch high. 3-1, and well,
he's gonna take him off.
Here we go again. Rain delay part due. So hopefully this is another brief torrential downpour, and we'll be back again. Hopefully Allison saved that rain delay graphic. Okay, good. All right, we'll take a break here again. Last delay was 8 minutes. We'll shoot for 6 this time. Blue Sox leading 1-0 in the top of the 4th. I'm in. Good. All right, here we go. Back at it here. Rain delay number 2 has finished. 20 minutes in. And we're going to try to play the rest of this game, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, and if not the whole game, get through, 4 or 5 innings, correct? You have to get through 4 1/3 or 4 1/2, right? Is that what has to happen?
Yeah, we would have to finish the top of the 5th.
Top of the 5th, okay.
Yeah, so that's a halfway point. If we're winning at that time, we wouldn't need to bat again. This
Right.
would be just like
Correct.
the bottom of the 9th.
Correct.
But in a 1-0 game, I'm sure that they'll probably try to
Try to get it in. I would assume.
right. I'm sure Epling would probably not say, "Okay, we'll take a 1-0 loss."
Right.
But that's the rules of baseball, though.
That is the rules of baseball. That's right. You can't change those.
Hopefully we can't change them. All right, so let's try to get through this one here. A 3-1 count with Delgado in the no outs here. Now ground ball to short, and Wheeler's throw is in time. A little bit low, but a pick by Ferguson. And that's a 6-3 put out, 1 down. Good job there by Klingensmith coming out of the rain delay, getting a 1 pitch out.
Yeah, personally, I've never had a guy pitch or I've never pitched in a rain delay before. I wonder what goes through a pitcher's head, when you have to come out after being cold and then you have to go get hot again, and it may happen another time or two. Hopefully not in this game, but I always wonder kind of what goes through a pitcher's head in that situation.
Called strike here. So apparently I just got word that if the umps do call it one more time, if we go into a 3rd rain delay, they are going home.
Oh, okay.
So here's a line shot to second on 1 hop. Benson's throw is in time, 4-3, and it's 2 down here in the 4th. So hopefully let's hope the Clouds don't decide to open up again for another inning.
Yeah, we got to get 1 inning in. Yeah.
That's fine.
Doesn't look too promising.
No, it doesn't. It's a little bit gray out right now, but it has been all day. And unfortunately, we've had intermittent rain showers that have halted the game twice. Called strike to Bergeron. He is 0 for 1. Flew out to right field in the first time. At the plate now, he takes another strike. These rain delays haven't bothered Klingensmith at all.
Oh, yeah.
Continues to roll right through it. And here's the pitch. It's high. Solid debut from the Punxsutawney native. And 1-2 is a little bit outside. Bolton tried to frame it up, but our home plate umpire, Mr. Malik, said, "No way, that's a ball." And here's 2-2. It's hit well, but that's going to go foul.
Might have a play.
Racing after it is Murphy. He's got it. Oh, good job by Murphy out there and going into the spacious foul territory and bringing that one down for an out. So 1, 2, 3. Go to the minors in the 4th. Bottom half coming up. Blue Sox 1 and West Virginia nothing. Bottom of the 4th. Guess what? It's doing out right now.
It's raining.
Yeah, that's right. Good,
Not hard,
good guess. Good guess, Kellen. It's not raining hard yet, but we gotta keep an eye on it because these umpires have already delayed the game twice, and he said 3 strikes, you're out. So hopefully we can get through this thing. With the pitch outside to Bolton was called out on strikes in the 1st. And curveball just missed a little bit inside. Andrew Try still on the mound for the Miners, who do have a pitcher warming, a left-hander. There's pitch called for first strike, 1-2. Can't make out the number. He's not throwing too hard. At least I hope he throws harder than that. There's a little ground ball. Toddy's got it. Oh, no, he doesn't. He bobbled it about 4 times and ends up being a, I don't know if they'll call that a hit. No, it's an error. It's an error on Toddy's over at third. So that's the 8th error by the Miners in the last 2 games up here. And it allows the leadoff man to reach.
Yeah, and actually, credit Toddy's there, though. He bobbled it 3 times and still almost got Bolton at first base. But as you said, it'll be an error.
There's Wheeler. The ball gets away. Bolton will head to second. And that's a wild pitch. Bolton runs the second. He looks goofy with that blue towel hanging out the back. His back pocket.
The ShamWow.
ShamWow, yeah, I beg your pardon. Now we'll look at second. Here comes the pitch. It's high to Wheeler, who was called out on strikes in the second. Mercanja on deck. Here's the 2-0. Let's pop foul out of play. Try is a native of Hastings, Minnesota, which is a state known for its hockey. And, of course, Pittsburgh's been known for its hockey for the last few years, including this year, Stanley Cup Final. They're ahead 2-1 on the Predators. Pitch in there for a called strike. Here's a 2-2, a little chopper off the plate. That's a foul ball. Bounce back. Fowler almost got out there in time to grab it, but it was bouncing backwards the whole way. So I don't think they could ever call that a fair ball.
No, I have seen before, though, a ball just like that go right in front of the mound, or in front of the plate, excuse me, and a catcher get it right on a plate and be called fair. But that time, as you said, ball was foul, and Fowler's feet were in foul territory. Say that 10 times fast.
I'll let you try it later. If it's just outside. Three, 2, nobody out. Runner on second. Blue Sox ahead 1-0. And here's the pitch. It's a hard hit grounder to short in the hole. Making the play is, but they're not going to have an opportunity. Good job by Callaway throwing that ball across, but he saved a run at least because Bolton probably would have scored if that gets through the hole, but he was unable to retire Wheeler. Really didn't have much of a play.
No, really didn't have a play at all, and a good job on the back end by Bolton for the Blue Sox taking that extra base. Normally you'll see guys kind of freeze and be indecisive when a ball's hit the shortstop, but Bolton had no hesitation, took off from second, got to third, now first and third with nobody out.
And a line drive out into center field. That's going to get down for a base hit. Now it goes over Delgado's head, and now they're going to be able to run for days. Coming in to score is Bolton. Now it's Wheeler in, and stopping at third is Mercanja. Blue Sox add to their lead. It's 3-0. That's a bad bounce. They did call it a hit and an error. That felt like a bad bounce. You almost could call that a triple, but that's going to be a single and a 2-base error on the center fielder Delgado, and it's now 3-0 Butler.
Yeah, you're right. It took a high hop there. Kind of surprising it did that considering it's been raining all day.
Yeah.
Kind of just an unlucky bounce there, but maybe a play that should have been made out there.
Yeah. Find a trampoline out there in center field. E8 puts Mercanja on third. Blue Sox still in business here, leading 3-0. And the top of the order, Murphy is going to hit it out to the left. That should be deep enough. Making the catch out there is Gonzalez. But here coming in to score is Mercanja. Sacrifice fly to left makes it 4-0.
Yeah, good job by the Blue Sox here, jumping on the mistakes so far that have been made by this West Virginia team, and they're up 4-0.
Yeah, this is going swimmingly here for the Blue Sox this inning. Now Try bounces one to the backstop. He has not looked comfortable since that rain delay, the second one, that is. Pitch misses for a ball. He just continues to struggle here. Ball popped up. This should be playable over at first in foul territory. Making the catch is DeLeo, second out of the inning.
And you're right. It just seems like Try, ever since that rain delay happened, he's labored through this game, the entire game, really. I mean, that first inning was rough. The second inning really wasn't easy for him either. And now the 4 runs against him. But you're right, he's just hasn't really looked all that comfortable out there.
Benson, 0 for 1, walked in the first. Now almost gets hit by a pitch. Good breaking ball from Try. Gets him ahead 1-2. Oh, big cut. That's going in the parking lot, though. So 3 runs already across here. Nobody on with 2 outs. But a couple errors have hurt the Miners in this inning. And they have a trio of them on the day. And 9 in this 2-game series that's a game and a half old almost will pop up in shallow center. Making the catch is good. Delgado for the 3rd out. But the Blue Sox played 3 on 2 hits, 2 errors, and no one left on base. On to the 5th, it's Butler 4 and West Virginia nothing. All right, top of the 5th here in Butler. If we get through these 3, it's an official game. We've had some rain throughout the day, but the Blue Sox are leading 4-0. And the 7-8-9 hitters are due up. DeLeo struck out swinging in his first at-bat. Fouls one off here to even a count of 1 apiece. Klingensmith has allowed just 1 hit through his first 4 innings of work, and that was just a little single to Gonzalez. Pitch outside.
Yeah, Klingensmith really, the rain delay hasn't bothered him, obviously, as we said with on the back end with Try for West Virginia. He's really had a tough go of it since then.
Pulled a string on him there. Way out in front was DeLeo on a breaking pitch. He's been in control all day. It's been fun to watch. And he just misses with a fastball there. Full count offering is a bouncer, and DeLeo draws a leadoff walk. It's the third walk issued by Klingon Smith today. Here's Toddy's, the third baseman. Watch the pitch miss. Well, looks like Miners are warming up a guy out there, left-hander. He might be coming in next inning. A little Pfister out into left center. That's going to get down, and now the ball gets past the center fielder out there, and that will allow the runner to move up to third. Center fielder Mercanja had that one just skip right underneath his glove, and now runners are on the corners with nobody out. So single, and then an E8 moves DeLeo to third. First error of the day for the Blue Sox. But after staking yourself to a 4-0 lead, you don't want to be giving them anything back. And they're in position to do that right now with Cole Fowler at the plate. Here's the pitch. It's high. One count here. Klingon Smith comes home. Ball popped out of play, foul. So you got him where you want him here. You're going to try to get a big strikeout. Try to get one out here, and then you got yourself set up for a double play ball to get you out of the inning.
Yeah, and especially with a 4-run lead, and you only need these 3 outs to make it a complete game. You just got to try to get yourself an out and take it any way you can get it.
Yeah, that was a little roller foul. Late swing by Fowler. He really just fighting there to stay alive. Didn't even look like he was trying other than just to stick his bat out and make contact. Like a half swing. 1-2 again. That's a bouncer. Good job by Bolton of keeping that in front of him. Actually skidded just about an inch behind his feet, but good enough that it wasn't going to allow either runner to think about moving. And 2-2, foul ball straight back.
Yeah, this is a good at-bat here by Cole Fowler. He hasn't really swung the bat hard, and he's just trying to foul a couple off and put them in play. And we've seen it before against the Blue Sox. We saw, a couple days ago, that half-swing Ichiro slap hit thing, and maybe that's what Cole Fowler's trying to do here.
Oh, rain's picking up again here. Oh, I think it might be affecting Klingon Smith, too, because he missed his release point by a long way there. He almost hit Fowler in the head.
Yeah, I think it looked like he was trying for a curveball probably. Not the easiest pitch to throw in the rain, that's for sure.
You go to fastball changeup at this point, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
He comes with a fastball, and it's hit pretty well out to right field. Gunn still going back, can't make the catch, and now smashes up against the wall. One runs in. They'll hold the runner at third, and now runners on second and third with nobody out, and the first run of the game comes across the score on an RBI double by Cole Fowler, and it's now Blue Sox 4, West Virginia 1.
Yeah, not what you want to do there, obviously. As soon as you get a four-run lead, you don't want to give any right back to the opposition, and that's exactly what Klingon Smith has done now. Has an uphill battle with 2 guys on here, guys on second and third. They're A base hit could score 2 and completely change the complexion of this game.
I'm starting to think this is the ball game right now because the Miners are pulling their stuff in, and I think they realize that if they don't get 4 runs to tie this game this inning, it's over. Pitch called a strike on the leadoff man Johnson. He's 0 for 2. Because it's raining again about as hard as it was earlier, and when the umpires called it the first and second time. Here's the pitch. It's lined up the middle, base hit. And it's going to score at least 1. Coming around third is Fowler. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in plenty of time. They got him at home. So they get the out there. It's 4-2. That's a huge out. What a throw by Mercanja out in center field. He threw a guy out from right field last night. Whew. And now, instead of being 4-2 with a runner on second and nobody out, it's still only, or 4-3 with a runner on second and nobody out. It's only 4-2. And they get that run in. As Johnson moves up to second on the throw home. It's an RBI single, but an 8-2 put out of Fowler at home plate might loom large in this thing.
Yeah, it might, especially with the rain falling about as hard as it has all day long, and now giving the Sox 1 out. They just need 2 more outs to get the heck out of here and possibly steal a win.
Yeah, it's 4-2, and at the plate is Gonzalez. I really think Klingensmith is just struggling to get a grip on the ball right now because he doesn't have the control that he had in the first 4 innings. And here, a check at second. Runner's going to go, and here's the throw down. Are they going to run themselves into an out? They sure are. Oh, my goodness. Why would you do that? Why would you try to steal third there? But, hey, we'll take it. They throw him out. Bolton to McCarthy, and Johnson is caught stealing.
Yeah, it's a huge out now, and now Klingensmith's just got to throw a couple strikes and hope that Eddie Gonzalez just hits the ball at someone here.
Pitch is a called strike. It's 2-1 to the second hit, or the left fielder of the Miners. I can't believe they tried to steal third on that.
I don't know if it was if it was a called steal or not, because it doesn't look like the third base coach is all that happy.
It's fairly obvious that Klingensmith has no control because of the weather.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get this thing going, and you got him in a little bit of trouble here, and then you try that, and you run yourself into an out. That's just not a good play. Oh, my goodness, look at this. This ball stays fair somehow, and Gonzalez is going to end up with an infield single. Now, you don't run yourself into an out there. You got first and third with 1 out. The tying run's on first, and instead, you still got to string about 3 hits together here to get back in this thing. So that second out is going to, I think, prove to be very costly here.
No doubt about it, but a lucky break there for Eddie Gonzalez. My goodness. Looked like a pull ball out there.
Yeah.
It just, came back in, looked like it was for sure going to be foul. Then all of a sudden gets near that foul line and squirts away from it.
Yeah, he hit the corner pocket with that one. That was quite the English on that baseball. But he cues it in for a single, and here's Norman, who takes the ball. Now, do they dare try to steal first here? No, it doesn't look like it. Norman takes a pitch outside. No, the fans are starting to get restless. They know the situation.
Yeah.
We got some smart baseball fans here in Butler. They realize if they can get one more out here, we might be coming home with a victory. Because I don't think these umpires are going to stick around to stay wet for much longer. Ball fouled off. Murphy chasing it. Will he get there? No, it actually goes on the other side of the fence. It's just a long strike.
I'd be willing to bet here that probably Norman or Delgado are probably going to be, I would assume, if you don't get an out in the next 2 batters, probably going to be the last 2 batters of this fifth and of this game, I would assume.
Miners trying to make it interesting here. 4-2, line drive, base hit out in the left, and 2 men on with 2 outs. The third out has become the hardest here in this inning. The Miners have strung together 5 hits this inning after getting 1 in the first 4.
Yeah, but that, as you said, that third out, or that out made it second base, or third base, excuse me, the second out of the inning. I mean, that is huge right now.
Absolutely.
That would have given West Virginia another run. That would have been the base hit there by Norman would have scored Colby Johnson, and instead you're at second and first with 2 outs, and 1 out probably ends the game.
Yeah, there we go. Here's the pitch. It's high, and I'll tell you, if Klingensmith can find a way to get out here, it would. I'm gonna go 80% chance that this game's over. But he is just. I feel bad for him because you can just tell he cannot get a grip on the baseball. Fastball hit pretty well to center. Mercanja on the run. He's underneath it. He's got it. And that ends the inning. Will it end the game? We're not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. The umpires are going to let West Virginia come back out. Probably just going to let it roll here. And like you said, we got word that if it gets called again, if they call a rain delay again, the game's over. But at this stage in the game, if the game were to end right now, it looks like Butler would take home another win.
Well, it looks like the Miners are going to come out here, so we're going to step aside. 4-2 Blue Sox after 4.5. New pitcher for the West Virginia Miners here in the bottom of the 5th. It's Austin Sheary taking over for Andrew Try. Try goes 4 innings, allows 4 runs on 3 hits. They had 3 walks.
Oh.
Ball through for the hole for a base hit. And Joe Gunn is on base. That was a hard shot there. Not much of a chance for Toddy's.
Yeah, that ball was scorched, and Toddy's just tried to throw his body out there in front of it. It looked like it kicked maybe off of his knee or his leg and went right into left field, and then that's a well-deserved base hit. Joe Gunn ripped the cover off of it.
Yeah, he's on base for the 3rd time today. Sheary's pitch to Webb is outside. Try to get some numbers on Sheary so far this season. Sheary making his 2nd appearance out of the bullpen. Ground ball to second. Chance for 2. 6-4-3. Double play by the Miners here. Go from Callaway to Bergeron to DeLeo to retire 2 quickly here.
And the rain hasn't seemed to affect Austin Sheary thus far, and has Well, I was going to say it has let up, but it really hasn't let up since the last inning.
No. Here's Ferguson. Sheary so far this year, 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 2 walks and 2 strikeouts and a 2.07 ERA. So, just 1 appearance to this point for the lefty from Oakland University. 1-1 count with Ferguson. Try on the day, struck out 3, and he also walked 5, beg your pardon. So that was one of the main reasons. He only allowed 3 hits, but a lot of walks kept the Blue Sox putting pressure on him. Ferguson swings and misses and strikes out, and we'll end the 5th that way. Looks like we'll move on to the 6th inning with the Blue Sox ahead 4-2. Top of the 6th here in Butler. Oh, line shot right back to Klingensmith. That's a good glove on him, and he flips to first. 1-3, 1 down.
Yeah, it was hit right on the button there by Cody Calloway. Not much more you could do. Took it right up the middle, one-hop shot. But Klingensmith did a good job. I want to say that was more self-defense than anything else.
Yeah.
It was either catch it or get hit by it.
Now bunt attempt shown, but pulling it back is Bergeron. Takes a called strike. Now he will roll one through the hole for a base hit.
And you almost wonder if these West Virginia minor hitters are starting to figure out Klingensmith a little bit. He gave up 5 hits in that last inning in the 5th, and through 4 he only gave up 1 hit. So, and then right there gives up another one. So you almost wonder if, as this game goes on, these hitters are starting to figure him out a little bit.
Yeah, well, the numbers don't lie. Although I blame part of the last inning with the fact that it was raining so hard he couldn't really get a grip on the ball.
Yeah.
Swinging strike here by DeLeo. He walked and scored in the 5th, and also had strikeout. Homered last night, providing the only offense, and now stolen base attempt, throw down, and they got him at second. In fact, they got him twice because Bergeron overslid the bag. I think they got him the first time anyways, but he made sure of it by sliding all the way out to shortstop.
Yeah, that's the risk you run by sliding on turf, especially when it's wet. You're going to go a lot farther than you normally would, and I don't know if he got him on the tag straight through, but there was no doubt about it. Once he overslid the bag, he was definitely out.
It made the call a lot easier. 2-1 to count on DeLeo. Now check swing foul ball out of the stadium. Fans turn around to see where it will land. Used to be an outside. Today we had to go inside because of the less than ideal weather. 2-2. Fouled straight back. 1 earned run according to our scorekeeper, Pat Reddick. So once again, the Miners' defense has not helped their situation.
No.
Called strike 3. That'll end it here in the top of the 6th. Bottom half coming up, Butler 4, West Virginia 2. Eric Bolton leads off here in the bottom of the 6th. Blue Sox are ahead 4-2. So far today, rain has been the story, but the Blue Sox also putting some runs together, pop up into center field, and Delgado calls off Gonzalez to make the catch for the first out. Sherry gave up a single to Gunn to lead off the 5th for his first batter of the night, but then got a double play, strikeout, now a fly out since. So he's settled in well. The lanky lefty. Here's the pitch to Wheeler, who takes called strike. Now, big rip, but Wheeler comes up empty. Oh, jeez. That's a sailor to the backstop. Fury maybe slipped on that one.
Yeah, it didn't look like he physically fell, but I think the ball kind of just slipped out. As we've seen, it's happened a couple times today. I think that one might have as well.
Yeah, it's hard for the pitcher to keep that ball dry. He's going into a wet mitt every time.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the last 2 cases, it's bouncing off the ground.
Right.
And he bounces another one in. 3-2 the count, 1 out. Bottom of the 6th of a 4-2 lead for the Blue Sox. Ground ball to short. Scooping it up is Callaway. Throw across. We'll get Wheeler for the second out of the inning. 6-3. Pretty well hit ball, but right at the shortstop, Callaway, who made sure that he was going to get that one over easily.
And the Blue Sox have squared up a couple ground balls, just been right at people so far, and obviously only 4 hits to their credit, and there's another one. Whoa, nice pick.
Yeah, good scoop on both ends. DeLeo with a nice pick at first as well. 6-3 to end the inning. Mercanja goes down, and so we'll go to the 7th with Butler leading by a score of 4-2. ready to go here in the top of the 7th, looking to match Josh LaPiano, who went 7 innings last night. Blue Sox leading 4-2. Klingon-Smith against Toddies here. Pitch low and away. Butler with 1 run in the first and 3 in the 4th. West Virginia got 2 in the 5th, but really could have had more if it wasn't for some errors on the bases. They've had errors in the field. They've had errors on the bases.
Yeah.
That's why they're 1-4 to start the year.
I suppose so. It's just been that kind of stretch of games for West Virginia. Nothing's really gone right.
1-2 just misses. This is, I believe, Big Mac strikeout. Yeah, there we go. There's Jay. He's got the Big Mac chant going. Lighter audience here today, so I'm sure they wouldn't be as upset if the drive-through people would be as upset. This is a pop-up that's going to go out of play, so we'll still have another chance here. This is a big moment for Toddies. He doesn't want to be the Big Mac guy.
No.
He doesn't want to have to go hear that ridicule in the dugout. 2-2 bouncer. We have not had the Big Mac strikeout yet this year.
Yeah.
We had it a lot last year.
Yeah, we did. It was almost like every guy that came up last year that was the Big Mac strikeout guy of the game struck out. It was weird.
Yeah, I remember vividly last year the guy from James, or that was 2 years ago. Foul ball out of play here. Toddy's trying to spoil everybody's appetite here, but yeah. So a couple years ago, Jay always does the Big Mac chant here on the PA, and Jamestown was playing us, and they got down to 2 strikes, and the guy got a base hit, and the entire dugout for Jamestown come out onto the field and yelled Big Mac, Big Mac. The ball hit well into the gap, but chasing it down in right center to make the catch is Mercanja for the out. That's good range from the center fielder.
Yeah.
He had to range a long way to get that one.
Yeah, that ball was squared up by Toddies there and in the gap, but a good job of hustling after it and making the play out there by Mercanja.
Fowler, RBI double last time up. He's been on base twice out of the 9 hole. And watch a strike here. Miners have 7 hits today. Well, like I said, those base running blunders have been a problem. Line drive right to Gunn. He actually almost has that one go by and misjudged it, but he's able to make the catch for the out. Whew, that could have been probably at least 2 bases for Fowler.
That
maybe
might have been,
maybe more.
It might have been a triple there. A good job by Gunn out there. He froze initially, and that's what you're supposed to do with a line drive right at you as an outfielder. And then he came in instead of going back, but recovered and made a pretty nice play. West Virginia has 2 hard-hit balls this inning.
Chopper to short. Wheeler on to first to retire Johnson to end the inning. And it's stretch time here at Kelly Automotive Park. The Blue Sox 4 and West Virginia 2. Bottom of the 7th here in Butler. Blue Sox leading 4-2. New pitcher for the West Virginia Miners. That'll be their probable for Monday. Number 16, Keenan Dodd, takes over for Austin Sheary. Becomes the third pitcher of the game for the Miners. Sheary goes 2 innings. He did not allow a run, only 1 hit. And struck out 1. And did not walk a batter. Pretty good job stabilizing things by Sheary. And that'll bring in Keenan Dodd, who is from Eastern New Mexico State, which is, I believe, a Division II school down in, New Mexico.
That much is clear.
Yeah, that much is clear. Probably the eastern part of New Mexico, if I guess. He has 1 start on the season, 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. It was not earned, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. He actually started opening day for West Virginia up in Kokomo. Called strike here. And it was a hard luck loser that night. They lost 1-0, and the only run he gave up was an unearned run. Well, one little bouncer, deadens in the middle of the infield. Tough play to first, but a good job by Bergeron to retire Murphy for the first out.
Yeah, as you said, that ball looked like it was going to hop and then just didn't hop. I don't know what it is with the wet turf. You'd think the ball would skip more or bounce more, but twice now we've seen the ball take funny hops.
Yeah,
actually, once in the outfield as well.
Yeah, and hit a soft spot there and just laid down. McCarthy, who is 1 for 3, watches a strike. And the 0-2 is a little bit low. Blue Sox ahead 4-2. With 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. McCarthy fouls 1 out of the stadium. Looks like it's slowing down rain-wise. We might be able to get this thing in after all, the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's raining at all anymore. Maybe a couple drops, but nothing as bad as it was, that's for sure.
Pitch high. 2-2 to number 21, McCarthy. Oh, now he gets hit right on the shoulder. And he'll head down to first. It's the first man that the Miners have hit today.
And had him 0-2 or 1-2, excuse me, at one point. Did Keenan Todd, and then hits him, or Dodd, excuse me.
I'll let it slide.
Todd,
Yeah,
same thing.
they got a Toddies.
Yeah.
Foul ball by Benson. Gunn on deck. He's been on base 3 times. Throw over to first. McCarthy gets back. Now, I would not be surprised if we saw McCarthy take off. He's 38 stolen bases at Seton Hill this spring.
That's pretty good.
Ball lined off the glove of Callaway out in short, and it makes its way out into center field. That's a base hit.
Yeah, ball was smoked there by Tyler Benson, and a good effort out there by Callaway. Thought he might haul that thing in, but just went off the edge of his glove, it looked like. Good effort there, but just a little too short, I suppose.
Now it's Joe Gunn's turn. Gunn from Ball State, native of Newcastle, just up 422 a little bit. On your way home,
Yeah.
right? Pitch misses. We got one person holding an umbrella, and it's perfectly in the view of where we're trying to look at the batter.
Never fails.
Got his little blue umbrella up. Oh, hard hit ball to second. Almost ate up Bergeron, but he's able to get it to second on to first. Double play, 4-6-3, and that'll end the seventh. Blue Sox leave one man. They still hold a 4-2 lead as we go to the eighth.
It's time for each and every one of us to face a very troubling fact. There exists a significant heroin and opioid epidemic in not only Butler County, but elsewhere across the country. I'm Rich Goldinger, the District Attorney of Butler County. This is my backyard and yours too. Together, we can work to eradicate the high-level drug dealers that supply these drugs to those using them. Heroin and opioid abuse does not discriminate. Users come from all economic backgrounds, are male and female, and may be teenagers or middle-aged adults. With your help and in conjunction with the Butler County Drug Task Force and the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General, we can target those dealers who bring this poison into our county. Please report any suspicious activity to your local law enforcement agency, the Pennsylvania State Police, or to my office. This is our ballpark. This is our county. This is our backyard. Let's all say, not in my backyard. Please enjoy tonight's Blue Sox game.
New pitcher for the Blue Sox here in the top of the eighth. That's going to be Ray Gonzalez, who is also a catcher for the team, but with the limited bullpen, asking him to go out and throw an inning. He'll relieve Mike Klingensmith, who goes 7 innings, allows just 1 earned run, 2 total, on 7 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. First batter that Gonzalez will face is Eddie Gonzalez. Battle of the Gonzalez's here. Called strike, 1-1. And pitch, back foot curveball, but able to get out of the way is Gonzalez. And his only outing of the year on the mound, he went 1 inning, allowed 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned on 1 walk and no strikeouts. 3-1 to count here to Gonzalez. Now he'll pop it up. That should be playable out in left for Murphy. And he's got it. First out here in the eighth.
And a good start there by Ray Gonzalez. As you said, just 1 short outing. Probably going to be in a similar scenario here in the eighth. But he's a good hitter, as we've seen, batting, I think, .438 I saw. So if he's have as good of a pitcher as he is a hitter, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, looks like a foul ball here by Norman. And will make it out of the. No, it just hit off the wall out there and behind the Miners pitcher's mound, but no chance for any of the Blue Sox to really come close to getting that one. Norman, 1 for 2, went on base all 3 times. Walked, singled, now will line out to left field for the second out. So Murphy getting some work here.
Yeah, and that one really didn't even have to move.
Yeah.
Did Murphy kind of just stood there and took a step or 2 to his right and made the play.
And so Gonzalez 2 down. Here's Delgado 0 for 3 today and takes the ball. Gonzalez from North Florida University, native of Orlando. Falls behind 2-0. He's leading the team in batting average at .438. Foul ball here. And he's also getting it done on the mound, so he's a jack of all trades here.
It's always a good thing, I guess. They always say the more positions you play, the better chance you have of getting on the field. And obviously, for Ray Gonzalez, that's the case.
Here's the pitch. 2-1. He's called a strike. Nice fastball. Two outs. 4-2 Blue Sox. Here in the 8th. And it's just missed. Gonzalez thought he had it. He bounces up and down a couple times, but he'll have to throw another one. And pitch called, strike 3. He got it that time. And he works a 1-2-3-8 here. Nice job by Ray Gonzalez. Not bad for a catcher. He comes in, gets the side retired in order. We'll go to the bottom half of the 8th inning with the Blue Sox leading 4-2. Bottom of the 8th here. Afternoon baseball in Butler. Going well for the Blue Sox so far. They lead 4-2. And new pitcher for the West Virginia Miners. It'll be Chris Metrick from Beckley, West Virginia. Started with a ground ball. Bergeron. 4-3 put out to DeLeo to retire Christian Webb here, who falls to 0 for 4 on the day. Metrick has appeared in 2 games, pitched 2 innings, struck out 4, has not allowed a hit, and has earned a save so far. So he's been pretty good for the Miners. Native of Beckley, and also goes to West Virginia Wesleyan, so he's a local guy down there for the Miners. Ferguson takes a ball. He's 0 for 2. Did draw a walk. He's ahead 2-0 here.
A good 2-0 count for him. We know Ferguson is going to take a healthy swing if he gets one to hit.
And he does take a healthy swing, but can't catch up to it. Just short of 4 o'clock here in Butler. Pitch misses. If we didn't have that 26 minutes worth of rain delays, I'd be packing up. But unfortunately, the rain has been in and out all day. Swing and a miss by Ferguson. 3-2 the count. 1 out, and Blue Sox ahead 4-2. And Ferguson goes down swinging. Unfortunately, he's had a propensity for the strikeout, but he's also had a propensity for the long ball. So it's a little bit of both for him this so far. When he goes down there and there's 2 away.
And you see that a lot with home run guys, guys that take big swings. They're normally strikeout candidates, and as we said, Ferguson has struck out a fair amount of times already this year.
Yeah, a dozen now. Bolton takes a called strike. Turn around and asked our home plate umpire, Malik, where that was. That's 1-1. I'll tell you. Oh, there you go, buddy. Thank you. I was just going to say, I hope you put your umbrella down soon, and you must have read my mind. 2-1. Now I can see the batter again, which is pretty important. That curveball misses high. Really, since the 4th inning, the Blue Sox haven't had much in the way of offense. Only one guy reached second base after that inning. After the 4th. And Bolton takes a ball, and we'll head down to first on a walk. And brings in Wheeler, 1 for 3. Singled and scored in the 4th inning. Part of a 3-run 4th. And a line went hard out in the right field. That's going to get down for a base hit. Bolton will hold it second, and there's 2 men on and 2 outs. First hit of the year that Metric had surrendered. A little opposite field shot to right field.
Yeah, a good piece of hitting, obviously, there by Corey Wheeler. Not trying to do too much with that pitch, just taking it where it was pitched. Looked like it was on the outer half. He attacked the first pitch that he saw off of Metric and slapped it into right.
Time called. Here comes Tim Epling out to gather the infield. He does this a lot.
Yeah.
Even last year when they were, leading the league in just about every category, he always likes to gather his whole infield and talk to him. Probably just going over where to throw on a base hit. Bolton is not slow by any means, but he's not the fastest guy on the team. So it would probably take a pretty good shot here by, looks like Ben Carew's pinch hitting for Mercanja. That's probably the other reason why he gathered him. Just maybe brief scouting report. I think that's Carew. Can't tell. Takes a pitch for a ball. 1-1 to count. No, it is Mercanja. I beg your pardon. He must be. He was batting left-handed earlier, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
I'm losing my mind. All right, well, we got 2 men on. Mercanja at the plate. And he tries to hold his swing, but they say he went around, and that'll end the inning. So after all that, Blue Sox leave 2, and we'll go to the 9th. They lead 4-2, and it looks like Gonzalez is going to go for a 2-inning save here. Well, we'll be back here in a minute to see if he can pull it off. All right, Ray Gonzalez is going to try to close it down here. He'll face Callaway. First pitch is a called strike. Blue Sox leading 4-2 here in the top of the ninth. Ground ball. Nice play by Benson to back end, throw to first in time. One away here in the ninth.
Yeah, it's a good start there for Ray Gonzalez now, just 2 outs away from getting the save, and a nice play over there at second base by Benson. Had to go a long way to get that on the backhand and flipped it over to Ferguson. He had a nice pick on the other end.
Now it's Bergeron, who's 1 for 3. Gonzalez fires a fastball in for a strike. It's been a weird game here today. Just hasn't had a lot of flow to it.
No.
But we're 2 outs away from coming out of it with a victory. Another fastball in there for a strike. Gonzalez pumping him in there.
Yeah, he's pounding the zone. He did it last inning. Retired all 3 men he faced, and he's 4 for 4 so far, getting the first man out in this inning.
Ground ball to second. Backhand stop by Benson. He fires to first, and they got him. It looked like Ferguson just barely kept his foot on the base long enough to get the out.
Yeah, nice defensive play again over there by Benson. He had to slide to get that one. He probably went a little farther than he wanted to, obviously, with the turf being wet. That might have affected the throw as well, but nonetheless, they get the out over there at first base.
All right. Here we go. Gonzalez misses high in a DeLeo. I want to mention real quick, Klingensmith, 7 innings. X becomes the 4th straight Blue Sox pitcher to throw a quality start, dating back to, well, when they started this 4-game home and home with West Virginia. And that would be a good way to finish the week here. LaPiana had one last night, Spack, and then Bucci down in West Virginia. 1-1 to count here on DeLeo. And here's the pitch. Swinging strike, and now the Miners are down to their last strike. Gonzalez, fastball, just misses. He thought it was over. And he gives a wry smile as he heads back to the hill.
He definitely thought it was over there, and umpires don't necessarily like that sort of thing. So,
pitching with a lot of emotion. Now he gets a swing through for strike 3. That'll do it. The ball game's over. The Blue Sox win 4-2. They sweep the Miners 4 games in a row to start the year. And improved to 4-2 on the season. I'm going to head down to the field here, talk to Mike Klingensmith, our player of the game. Kellen, take us through it, and I'll be back up to help you wrap it up here in a minute.
sounds like a plan. All right, so this game, big win for the Butler Blue Sox, as Jaron mentioned. 4 in a row against West Virginia. I don't know the last time that has happened for the Butler Blue Sox. Don't know if it's ever happened. Maybe Jaron can tell you that when we come back. But the Blue Sox scored 1 in the first after an RBI ground out to first base by Christian Webb. And then in the fourth, the Blue Sox get 3 runs off of a couple of errors and a couple base hits. And that was it for the scoring for the Blue Sox. 4 runs in 9 innings there. And then on the back end of it for West Virginia, a 2-run fifth propelled West Virginia to get back into the ball game, but that was the closest they got. 4-2 was the closest they got throughout the ball game, and a fantastic game by Mike Klingensmith, as Jaron will interview him here in a minute. He went 7 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned, 7 hits, 3 walks, and struck out 5. And I don't know, being that we're inside, we don't have a crowd mic, don't know if we'll be able to hear the interview that Jaron has with Klingensmith. I doubt it. It'll be pretty muffled, so I'll just keep rolling through here. And then Ray Gonzalez came in the 9th, pitched a perfect 2 innings, retired all 6 men he faced, got the 2 innings save, and he struck out 2 as well. So, yeah, fine day for the Blue Sox. Always nice when you can win 4 in a row, and just a fantastic performance here. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back, and Jaron will be back up here after his interview with Klingensmith, and we'll wrap things up.
All right. Well, if you told me at the beginning of the week the Blue Sox would have, 9 pitchers, have to play 6 games, play the minors 4 times, and they come out of it 4-2, you'd probably sign up for it.
Yeah.
And winning all 4 of them against the minors makes it a little bit more special.
Has that ever happened before? Us ever beating the minors 4 times in a row?
That's a good question. I know the year we made the playoffs in 2014, we played them 6 times. In the first 3 weeks, we took 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if we ever got 4 in a row. Yeah, I don't know. I think they might split it up 3. But, hey, good start to the year. Another solid outing on the mound by Klingensmith. 7 innings, only gives up the 1 earned run. And, off day tomorrow. We'll back here Tuesday at 6:35, whenever the Champion City Kings come back to town for first of a 2-game set. Any last things you got here today?
No, I mean a good job by both teams sticking through the rain, and Butler coming out on top. Big win and 4 in a row.
Yeah, well, enjoy the off day tomorrow, and we'll get back at it Tuesday. Final score here this afternoon: the Blue Sox will win it 4-2. They had to survive 2 rain delays, but come through it on the other side with a 4-2 record, while the West Virginia Miners fall to 1-5. And for my producer, Allison Schubert, for my broadcast partner, Kellen Gursky, I'm Jaron Steele. Thank you for listening today, and we'll do it again on Tuesday. One last time, final score 4-2 Blue Sox. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday.